And call to order and announce a quorum is present, Madam Secretary.
Yes.
All right. Move to item B, consider ordinance number 2019-30, amending the Jersey Village Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 2, Section 2-142, to amend the schedule of fees related to miscellaneous services. James Singleton.
So as we've discussed the pool over, I guess, last 3 months, and then the pool fees, I started looking at what it costs to visit some other public pools, and I also looked at how many visits it took at the daily rate to make it worth the expense of a pass. And I found that as a non-resident, a family of 4, it didn't make sense for them to buy the pass until they had been here to the pool about 20 times compared to a resident 10. And I didn't think that that discount aligned well. I also thought that if we adjust the non-resident daily, that might address some of the issues that were expressed at the pool. And so this change just brings the daily rate more in line with the same discount as a resident. It brings them in line with the number of times you would visit compared to having an annual pass. Drew sent me a little bit of math. He came up with a little bit different numbers that I am in agreement with, and I'll let him express how he came to those numbers.
Yeah, I just simply took, since the family pass is $100 and the resident pass is $100 annually and the non-resident is $400, I just did 4x to our day rates, and $2 and $3 for children and adults becomes $8 and $12. So we're off by $2 on the adult non-resident day rate. Sorry, we differ. We're not off.
So I'm fine with the numbers that he came up. We can approve it with the numbers that Drew gave for the dailies.
So Drew's proposing $8 for non-resident children ages 2 to 17 and adults age 18 and up non-resident at 12.
Yes, $12 for an adult non-resident, $8 for a child non-resident. The other change that you'll see in there is originally you could buy a limited number of resident passes for a non-resident if you were a carrier of an annual pass. Because we're raising the non-resident limit, I removed that limit completely. If you are a resident family pass holder, then you can buy resident passes for your friends that are not residents.
That takes care of families in town. We're all going to the pool. You're basically paying a resident rate.
I'm hearing pass, but I'm thinking you're meaning entry.
No, there's a annual pass you can buy for the pool that for
You do actually mean that a resident can buy a resident pass for somebody that's a non-resident.
No. Okay, so as a family who purchases the annual pass for $100 as a resident, today I had friends come over to the house and they have a family of I think 7. I would only be able to buy a limited number of daily, say, tickets.
That's what I was
pool.
trying to get at. It's
so
a daily pass as
daily.
opposed to
Yep.
annual.
And so now I'd be able to, if I had a family pass, I could buy tickets on a daily for them to get to the pool at a resident rate instead of having to pay for some of those as a non-resident.
I understand. I would like to ask what stimulated these changes? Were there more discussions or where did it come from?
I put it on the agenda because I felt this would address some of the issues that we've had at the pool. With some of the patrons at the pool haven't been taking care of it. It's been some of the expressions that some of the residents have expressed. And this brought it in line with the same daily the cost for a non-resident was the same as the cost for a resident when you look at how many visits to the pool it made it worth it to buy an annual pass. It was so much cheaper for a non-resident to go to the pool that they could go to the pool 20 times at a daily rate before it made sense to buy a pass. Whereas a resident was being charged so much that by 10 visits, it was cheaper for them to buy a pass. So this would actually encourage non-residents, if they're going to visit the pool more than 10 times, to buy a annual pass for the pool and have more buy-in and hopefully respect the property more because they're there and they've put a larger investment into the pool.
Austin, do we have any ideas so far through the season how many non-residents we've had come into the pool on daily passes?
I do not have any good information on that for you right now.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's been tracked I was at the pool on, I think it was Friday night last week, and there were several people there at an event out in the park, and several of us were able to walk into the pool without having any kind of pass at all. So it's something that they're working on, and this is one more step towards a better pool.
Yeah, not to get too far off in that direction, but that's obviously a big problem, because if that doesn't get resolved, nothing we do regarding this makes a difference on that front. So I don't have a problem with the proposal, whether we do the 12 or the 14. I mean, I think that in any event, it is still a good value for someone coming from outside of the city, but I do think that it probably will, even if it's just the day pass, I think it still will make them respect it a little bit more if they come and spend that kind of money and then behave in a certain manner that causes them to get kicked out, or at least being told if they don't stop doing what they're doing, they're going to be asked to leave. I think maybe that gives it a little bit more consequence. And even more to the point, if they wind up deciding to buy a pool pass, that's even more buy-in in that regard. So I agree with that. I think it's a good idea. And I've had a lot of residents who have asked for this because of those same issues.
All right. Any more discussion on the topic? Okay, looking for a motion.
I move we approve ordinance 2019-30.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Are we approving that ordinance that was presented with some changes?
Right. Would you like to propose the ordinance with the rates as written, or with the rates that Drew put in, which was $12 for adults and $8 for kids?
Prove it with the rates that were put in.
Then I'll have to withdraw my second, because I think we're in agreement. I thought we were in agreement that we were going to do adults at $12 and children at $8. Drew and I's math was a little bit different on how we calculated to come to that, and I'm perfectly in agreement with his numbers. They both accomplished the same goal.
Okay, what are Drew's numbers again?
$8 for kids under age of 18, and $12 for adults 18 and up.
To be clear, the only difference is the adult rate, right? Yeah, it's just reducing the adult rate off of the proposal by $2.
Non-resident.
For non-resident, correct.
Okay. I move we approve ordinance 2019-30 with the rates that Drew proposed.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Move on to item C, consider resolution number 2019-40, authorizing action for the 2019-2020 health insurance plan year by renewing health insurance plans with Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Employee Benefits Pool. Austin Blease.
Mayor and councilors, on Tuesday of last week, we received the re-rates for health insurance. Luckily, they came in at a negative 2.5% on an average there for all of our rates. So we're recommending that we stay with TML at the current plans that we offer today.
So it all came in lower than expected.
Right, there was a couple plans that had just a small percentage increase and a couple that had about a 10% decrease, so it averaged out to this.
Outstanding.
I want to make sure we got that correct. Is the rates that are proposed for the upcoming fiscal year are lower than the current fiscal year?
Correct.
That might be a miracle in today's market.
If you go back to the last 12 years with TML, we've averaging those 12 years, it's 2% each year is what that increase has been. So it's
That's just inflation. That's inflation. That's all.
it's a pretty good deal that we have with being with TML.
Also, it says that the average was down 2.5. Did any of the rates go up in any specific categories?
The employee only rate actually went up by about 5%, and then the employee and spouse rate went down about 12 or 13%. So, and the other ones were right about zero.
All right, any more discussion on the topic? All right, looking for a motion?
I move we approve this ordinance,
Resolution.
Resolution 2019-40.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to item D, recess to special session. City Council is now going to retire to a closed session at 6:11 p.m. pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.0872, Economic Development Negotiations in connections with the following item. Number one, pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.0872, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, meet in a closed meeting to deliberate and offer from a financial or other incentive to a business prospect. We will return to open session and continue the remainder of tonight's agenda after the closed session deliberations are concluded. All right. The closed session was adjourned at 6:41 p.m. and no official action or vote was conducted during the closed session. Reconvene the special session. Item G1, consider resolution number 2019-41, authorizing the city manager to enter into an amended agreement with Collaborate Special Projects LLC relating to the provision of development services within the city. Austin Bleeth, city manager.
Mayor and councilors, as we discussed with the Chapter 380 agreement in executive session, there's a few changes that we're making. The big change is that the city won't be issuing debt for this project. So rather than the city issuing about $8.5 million of debt or so, we're going to increase the amount of rebates by $9 million to $29,250,000. So the city will not be issuing debt for this, and instead we're increasing the reimbursements, sales tax reimbursements to the developer.
Great. Any questions for Austin?
I want to make sure we get this absolutely clear. Austin, are you telling us that the major change in this agreement is that the city will no longer be issuing debt related to the Village Center project?
The city will not be issuing the debt for the Village Center project. Instead, we are increasing the sales tax reimbursements to the developer.
Sounds good.
So Austin, the sales tax rebates that we're going to be doing, those are rebates based on the income provided by the Village Center. So if Village Center was to not bring in any sales tax, the city would not be liable for any costs incurred. It's completely based on the amount of sales tax they bring in, correct?
That is correct. The sales tax being rebated comes from Village Center, the sales tax generating places in Village Center directly. So if there's no sales tax generated there, there's no reimbursements to them.
All right. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2019-41.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Move on to item G2. Consider resolution number 2019-42, authorizing the city manager to enter into a master development agreement between Collaborate Special Projects LLC, Village Center Local Government Corporation, and the City of Jersey Village. Austin Bleeth.
Mayor and councilors, this is the next step in the process of getting Village Center up and going. The master development agreement provides the outline of what will happen in Village Center and how it's all going to happen. And it's the first of what will be several other agreements outlining each specific portion of the project later on.
All right. Any questions for Austin? All right. Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Does this constitute a contract between the city and the developer?
We are going to there's no public comment right now. We're going to, yes.
There is a recent change in the Texas Government Code dealing with public agenda items that requires that a governmental entity permit the public to comment on any item on your agenda. It's probably going to affect, there will be some changes procedurally council may want to make over time, but off the top of my head, I forget when that law goes into effect, whether it was immediately or September 1st, because I do not recall. I would advise that you permit the members of the public to comment on this if they wish to.
That's fine with me. Sir, would you like to make a comment?
As Bill's, as,
Okay.
as Bill.
Hold on. We're going to do this in an organized fashion. If you would like to make a comment, you can step up to the podium, state your name, and make a comment.
I was going to ask the city attorney while Bill's coming up that the law that passed does not void interrupting a public meeting, though, correct? We would make procedural changes to allow comment at a meeting, but from my understanding, barely having read it, is that interrupting a meeting can still be an issue. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm Bill Beazley. I'm a resident of Jersey Village on 14910 Lakeview. What contract are you entering into? When has it been published? If you've negotiated a contract in a private session, you need to publish the contract so people can comment on it. You just can't go through the motions and approve it tonight. It's before it is approved as a contract, the citizens have the right to see the content of the contract and make comments. My standing here tonight is not a comment on a contract. I've never seen it. Up till now, it's been negotiated in secret. So on the face of it, it's wrong to agree to this tonight. You can agree to negotiate it, but once the contract is final, it has to be brought to the public so the public can comment on it. I just, there's a logic here. I don't know how else to get the logic across to you. You just can't enter. The city is obliging the citizens and the city to contracts where there's no chance for public comment. I mean, you had the Microsoft contract commented on. That was on the agenda. So if you enter into another contract or want to, you need to bring it before the citizens and let them comment it. They may love it. You know, it may be a great idea, but it needs to be brought before the citizens. This is silly. That's my comment.
Scott, this is not a contract. It's more of a memorandum of understanding. Is that correct?
It is a contract. Requires that you give fair notice of the subject matter of the contract, and so your notice tonight provides that you're authorizing a city manager to enter into a master development agreement between Collaborate Special Projects and Village Center LGC and the City of Jersey Village. It relates to the development of the project at that area. I think that the notice is fair, and it gives fair notice to the public that you intend to take action on that, and you can adopt the agreement.
And this,
Okay.
while it is a contract, it's my understanding from a year being up here and years of watching agendas and politics is it's actually not uncommon for us to enter into agreements without them being published. We've done it with lawsuit settlements and other things. This master development agreement is also built off of a Chapter 380 agreement that has been published, that was public, that We also had the announcement of Village Center. There's been several times that there's nothing in this master development agreement tonight that is a surprise, that is different from the discussion we've had about Village Center in a public setting for an extended period of time now.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
Hang on.
I would like to
Hang on.
have.
Hold on.
Is it my turn?
Not yet. Hang on.
We'll let you
Okay,
know.
thank
But I think what's also important to note, as Scott said, there is no legal obligation under state law for us to publish contracts before we enter into them or authorize the city manager to enter into them. Now, we have in practice in recent years been publishing a lot more documentation to the public ahead of meetings, which we are not required to, but we have recognized the value of doing so. It's not always practical, such as situations like this, where these negotiations can't be done out in the open because of the nature of them, and particularly with the timelines involved. Now, that being said, I want to make sure that it's clear with this agreement is by and large, as Greg was alluding to, an agreement to agree on a lot of other components later on. So this agreement is not really putting us into too much of a set framework other than an agreement to enter into other substantive agreements later on. This is largely just, think of it as scaffolding. We haven't even started working on the building. This is scaffolding.
Okay, wait, okay.
Are we obliging the city in any way? Is the city obliged to pay any money?
No.
No.
All right. May I have a turn, please? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Sir, Mr. Is Bounds, right? Mr. Bounds, I am Marilee Beazley. I live at 14910 Lakeview Drive. I discovered yesterday afternoon, because Drew Wasson posted on Nextdoor that there was I call these secret meetings. As you can see, almost nobody's in the room. So I got on Nextdoor and I said, urgent, there is going to be a Jersey Village City Council meeting. I looked at the agenda, took a quick look at the agenda, because I could see that something was going to be looked at that had to do with collaborate. Now, we can all skirt around different words and say, we're really not doing an agreement, it's really not a contract. I don't know. I'm not sure, because I am not an attorney, but I'm an informed citizen, Mr. Warren. And while you sit behind that podium, you are in the capacity of a city council member, not as an attorney. So please don't remind us over and over again you're an attorney, because I don't like what I hear all the time. I don't like what's going on in the city of Jersey Village. I also sent an email to Mr. to Austin this morning. I said, Austin, it would be helpful if you put on the marquees something about the city council meeting tonight. There is nothing out there that I can see to announce this meeting. I also sent a similar email to Lori Cootie. Please, it would be helpful to alert the citizens. I sent out an email to a few people. I was busy today. And somebody else sent out an email very late this afternoon. I don't even know if Bill knew about the meeting. I wasn't planning to go, but he texted me. He said he was the only citizen in the room. I don't think it is okay for you to conduct so much business behind those closed doors and to do all these things and start to, get this little agreement here and this agreement there. And a bunch of citizens in this city are getting very fed up with all this money that your city council, the city council saved up for 18 years. For 12 years. It's almost $18 million. And that meant we no longer needed to vote on anything. And I don't like the way it looks. And Mr. Mitchin, you know that I wasn't happy with last week when you
Do you have
asked
anything
your
else
friends.
about what's going on
Okay,
tonight?
I know, but it's a trend and it's a pattern. You guys have been doing what you want to do when you want to do it, and you care more about dog parks than you do about what people say every month.
All right, thank you
okay?
for your time.
Okay.
Is there anything else about what we're about to discuss? Because that's
Well,
what
I don't
needs to
like
be-
what's going on, and a lot of other people don't either, and I'm doing something about it. I'm starting a newsletter and a blog, and I will have a political section, and I will start informing the citizens of what's really going on.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Congrats, Marilee.
All right.
Lori, the agenda, one of the reasons that You post the agenda in the same place every time, is so that everybody knows exactly where they can go. And all of the notices for this meeting were posted within the, I think, 72-hour time period.
That is correct. The agenda was posted on the city website as well as the city bulletin board, and the calendar on the website was updated way in advance of the 72 hours.
That's something new.
I would like to mention that.
I'm
Ma'am.
sorry, you've had your time.
Ma'am.
We are not used to going to that city. No, it is not right, all this 72-hour stuff. I didn't know it was posted there.
Isn't it a misdemeanor to interrupt a public meeting?
You know what, Mr. Bobby
That's
Moore,
why I
I'll tell you
asked
what.
before this started.
Why don't you call the police and have me arrested? Because I'm sick of what's going
That's
on
enough.
in Jersey Village.
All right, let's move on.
Actually, I don't feel like we got to finish with Bill, and I forget my question was, but
We're going to move on. We have brought up resolution number 2019-42. We have discussed it. I'm looking for a motion on the topic.
I'll make that motion.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And we hereby adjourn.